Very good morning and warm welcome to one and all again for the third day, the consecutive third day for this Atal sponsored faculty development program organized by Bundelkhand Institute of Engineering and Technology, Jhansi, Uttar Pradesh. And currently for the lecture 7, we are having a professor with us from one of the oldest IITs, that is IIT Roorkee. So he's none other than Professor Varun Sharma. Professor Varun Sharma is currently an assistant professor in the Department of Mechanical and Industrial Engineering of IIT Roorkee, a renowned technical institution in India, as we all know. He is a passionate academician with extensive research acumen in the domain of additive and subtractive manufacturing. He completed his schooling in Ludhiana, Punjab, and graduated with BTech degree in Mechanical Engineering from Punjab Technical University, Jalandhar. Then he embarked on his research career with MTech in Production Engineering from Punjab Technical University, Jalandhar, and completed PhD from IIT Delhi. In a span of less than just 3 years with 10 CGPA in coursework, exhibiting a whopping zeal and prudency towards research. Before joining IIT Roorkee, he worked as research associate in IIT Delhi itself, and he was working as an assistant professor in Lovely Professional University and BITS Pilani, known as Birla Institute of Technology and Sciences. And not only that, he has bagged numerous awards and laurels during his academic journey. He was among top 20 in state matriculation examination in the year 2005. He is a recipient of University Gold Medal in both degree and masters in the year 2011 and 2013. Besides this, he has plethora of recognitions to his credit. He is presently guiding 9 PhD scholars and has supervised 2 MTech scholars with 2 scholars on the way. During his research stint so far, he has more than over 30 research publications in various esteemed peer-reviewed journals and conferences, and a patent which is accepted successfully. Moreover, he has completed 3 projects and has been working on 4 more sponsored projects. He has delivered several invited lectures across the country and has many collaborations with fellow researchers sharing similar research interest. With enormous desire and proficiency in the field of manufacturing, he strives to put significant contribution towards technological advancements for the betterments of society and environment. I'll not take much of the time. It's so much is there, but still I would like to welcome Professor Varun Sharma sir to just take over and just give his insights as far as manufacturing is concerned. Thank you so much, sir, for joining us today. Over to you, sir.
Yeah, a very good morning to all. Thanks for that introduction. Let me just share out my screen. Yeah, is my screen visible?
Yes, sir, it's visible.
Okay. A very good morning to all. Thanks for inviting me out. The topic that I have taken up for the FTP is the abrasive flow machining of 3D printed parts using a newly developed hydrogel-based abrasive media. Now, this is the topic on which we have got 2 patents. I will be first discussing about what basically is an abrasive flow machining, how the material removal occurs over here, and what have been the different variants and the process parameters in the AFM. What was our guiding force in development of the abrasive media, and how we were able to achieve a better surface finishing for the 3D printed parts. That will be a case study that I will be discussing. Starting with it, as we all know, abrasive flow machining is one of a non-conventional machining processes in which we get up the desired surface finish either in a micron or a nano level. Now, there are a number of parameters that play up a significant role while selecting up what kind of a surface finish we are going to have. Now, finishing is one of a process which is generally taken up at a last leg of the manufacturing cycle, and this is the most significant step as it will determine your surface integrity, it will determine the fatigue life of your specimen, and it will also determine the performance of that particular object for its actual usage. So till date, there has been a number of conventional finishing processes that have been used, like grinding, horning, lapping, but they all were having some limitations in the finishing of free form surfaces. They were very much used when we were finishing cylindrical or simple shapes. Like I am having certain disturbance. Someone's webcam, or I think so, audio is on. Is it with me only? Okay, now it's better. Yeah. So the grinding, horning, and lapping, they were primarily used for finishing flat, cylindrical, and simple shapes. But the when it came up to certain free form surfaces, then abrasive flow machining was the first process that was being developed late in 1960s by a company called as an Extrude Horn Corporation. Now, with this particular process, it gives the freedom for the abrasive particle to take any kind of a shape. So the media that we are going to use over here is deformable in nature, which was not the case for the grinding, horning, and the lapping kind of a processes. Now, this particular process, when it comes in, or the media that comes in contact with the workpiece, the material removal starts. Now, that particular material removal starts using up the micro ploughing and the micro cutting operation. Now, in the slide number 4 that you can see up is, this is a schematic of an abrasive flow media. What we have over here is, we have an upper media cylinder, a lower media cylinder that are acting as a storehouse for the abrasive media. Now, that abrasive media is viscous enough that it can change up its shape. So primarily the abrasive medias that were used till date, they were all rubber based media, like either they were natural rubber or they were synthetic rubbers. And in those particular natural or synthetic rubbers, you were embedding out the certain abrasives of a particular mesh size, of a particular density, of a particular shape. And when that abrasive media moves from this upper cylinder to the lower cylinder, let me just use it. When it moved from this upper cylinder to the lower cylinder over here, which is a fixture, whatever is the shape of your workpiece, whether it is a cylindrical, whether it is a free form, whether it is any kind of a shape, the abrasive media creates up a ploughing action, a micro ploughing action or a micro shearing action that it occurs, and the material removal takes up at the micron level. Now, during this particular course, this is a two-way AFM, like the abrasive media moves from the upper end to the lower end, then from a lower end to our upper end. So there were a number of strokes that were being used. Fine. In general, we say that the surface finish that I have got from here is at a nano level, and the number of cycles that I have done is 300 or 3 number of cycles. So these number of cycles are going to play up a predominant role in deciding what kind of a surface roughness and what kind of a material removal you are going to get. Now, the mechanism of the material removal is, as you can see up over here, is these are the loose abrasive particles that are there. Now, some of the abrasive particles will move towards the center, and some of the abrasive particles will impinge against the workpiece. So we classify the abrasive particles as the active abrasive particles and the inactive abrasive particles. So when this abrasive media is going to pass through this particular cylindrical surfaces, there will be some portion of the abrasive particle which will actually get in contact with the workpiece that we categorize as the active abrasive particles. Now, this active abrasive particle, what it is going to do is, it is going to be subjected to two different kinds of the forces. The first one is a normal force that will try to embed this particular abrasive particle into the workpiece, and the other one is the axial force, which will be governed by the movement of your abrasive media from the upper cylinder to the lower cylinder. Now, during this normal force and the axial force, what will happen is there will be certain debris that will be coming up. Now, that debris, which we call as the micro debris, those debris gets into your abrasive media itself. So, what the thing is, during this particular material removal, axial force, normal force, whatever the debris are going to come, that debris will be directly proportional to what kind of a normal force that abrasive particle is going to have with the workpiece. Right? Now, the variants that have been developed over here is that they always want to increase up this particular normal force so that the material removal can occur in a larger quantities. The axial force you can easily control with the pressure, like at what pressure you are moving your media from the to the lower end in that particular manner. So the mechanism that is involved in this particular process is that microplowing and the micro cutting. These are the two predominant ways of the material removal. So in the microplowing, it is not going to remove any kind of the material. It is going to create something which we call as the furrows, or certain kind of a hollows it is going to create. Whereas in the micro cutting, it is actually the removal of the work material in the form of the chip. So it also depends upon what kind of a material we are going to have, whether it is a ductile material or it is going to be a brittle kind of a material. Primarily, this particular process has been used for the ductile material. But the most important material removal over here is the micro cutting. Now, the variants that have been developed with time, we can classify that particular variants primarily into 5 different categories. One is you do up your research in the variants, like you provide magnetic field, you provide ultrasonic assistance, you provide rotating resistance, or you can hybridize your particular process. The other domain of this particular research was in the abrasive media, that you can develop up your own media. Now, the problem with this particular thing is that the medias that have been used till date, they were generally rubber-based media. Now, when you are going for 300 or 500 number of cycles, the temperature is going to rise. And when the temperature rises, the rubber that is holding up your abrasive particle in that particular media, they become viscous. And when it becomes viscous, it loses up the strength that it can create up that micro flowing and a micro cutting action. So whatever media we need to develop, that media should be having enough kind of a thermal resistance that it can withhold the degrees of the temperature. The other thing is there has been the variants that have been developed based on the parametric study. There has been certain modeling and a simulation aspect, and there has been certain applications for the biomedical implants, additively manufactured, industrial components, turbine blades, advanced materials, so forth. So the problem that we took over here is that we wanted to have certain kind of finishing process for an additively manufactured material, and we want to have up the surface finish, which is that it can for the practical of that particular object. So for the additively manufactured part, we developed up certain specialized media, and we developed up a certain variant for getting up the desired kind of the surface finish. So the reason that why one-way AFM has never been used that extensively is that It was primarily used for finishing of the, and whatever the abrasive media we are going to use is this higher end, and it provides up a longer finishing time to get up the desired kind of the material removal and the surface finish. Whereas a two-way AFM is the most commonly used variant of this particular process is because you need not to have up a manual refilling. Fine. So you have your upper media, you have your lower media, and your media travels from the upper cylinder to the lower in an up and down manner. And so this particular also, even if you are having up your smaller sized work materials, as we had in our case of the 3D printing, for complex design. However, the problem over here is that there could be certain abrasives that can leak out from this particular process if the fixture that you have designed is not appropriate. Now, to just to increase up the processing of, you could multi-way AFM, a number of the cylinders that can be operated simultaneously as well as independently. Now, this was used when we wanted to go for the and for the mass production. Uh, then there was another idea that was taken up into consideration. What they wanted is that whatever the inactive abrasive grains are there, that should also become active. Now, how they can become active? For that, what they did is they provided up an orbital vibrations into the to the workpiece. And when that orbital vibrations were being provided up, what happens over here is this abrasive media gets churned up, and whatever the inactive abrasive, that also as the active abrasive particles.
Sir, no audio is coming, sir. Please. Hello, sir. Good morning, sir. No audio.
वरुण सर अनम्यूट योरसेल्फ आई थिंक म्यूट हो गया सर का
Hello, am I audible now?
Yes, yes, you are audible.
Okay. Yeah, is my screen visible?
Yes, it is visible.
Okay, I don't know till which point you have heard me. Have you heard till this point?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. This is the last slide.
Okay, you like whatever spoke over here that was not audible then.
Yes, sir. Invariant variants of AFM need to be.
Okay, I will be just then moving that way, like slide number 12. So if you're not having any audio issues, just let me know. Okay, so over here, what we were discussing is that there has been a number of the variants of the AFM that has been developed. For example, yeah. For example, there has been certain ultrasonic assistance that has been provided to the workpiece. Now, this particular ultrasonic assistance, what it helped in, it helped in creating a more impact of the abrasive particle into the process. So that was called as an ultrasonic assisted AFM. Fine. There has been certain magnetic field assistance that has been provided. That magnetic field assistance helps in pulling up the abrasive particles towards the workpiece. It creates a more normal force, and the process was called as a magnetic field assisted AFM. Now, there was certain rotational assistance that was being provided to make up that inactive abrasive particles also active. So it helps in creating up a churning action in your abrasive media. So that rotational assistance, we call it as a rotating AFM. Now, this particular rotating AFM had different ways. So I can churn up that particular media using an n number of processes. We used drill bits. So that drill bits also provided up a centrifugal force. So we were having certain centrifugal force assisted AFM also. Besides that, what we did is we combined certain rotational assistance with an ultrasonic assistance. So those two combined assistances we called it as a hybrid process. So these hybrid processes were different. They were magnetorheological AFM, electrochemical aided AFM. So there were two or more than two combinations of separate processes that were combined with each other, and these all variants came up into the existence. Now moving on to slide number 13. Now, sorry. Over here, what we had is just to make sure that the abrasive particle creates a more indenting force, we had certain piezoelectric actuator over here, and that provide up vibrations of the order of 5 to 10 microns, and the frequency of that was of the order of 20 to 25 kilohertz. Fine. So with those particular high intense vibrations of relatively smaller amplitude, when this workpiece starts vibrating, what it does is it gets in contact with a number of the abrasive particles, and when it gets in contact, the material removal rate increases up in the similar manner. And other than that, what we had is just to increase up the magnetic assistance or provide a magnetic assistance, what we do is we provide certain electromagnets towards the boundary. Fine. Now, once you provide up these particular electromagnet, whatever the abrasive particles you are using, that will not be like only alumina or only silica. No, it will be having certain iron particles into it also. So what those iron particles does is, under the effect of the magnetic field, those iron particles get towards this particular electromagnet, and it creates up the material removal at this particular end. Now, by varying up the intensity of that particular electromagnet, by varying up the electric current, you can create up a variation in the indentation of that particular abrasive particle against the workpiece. Fine. So one way was going for an electromagnet. The other one was they were using is they were using a number of the permanent magnets, and that permanent magnets were being rotated. Now, when they were rotated using up a belt drive, it creates up a churning action, or it creates up a rotational motion into the abrasive media. The another variant was in the magnetorheological abrasive flow machining, in which we were using certain CIP chains. Now these CIP chains align themselves from north to the south pole, and whatever the abrasive particles are entrapped over here, that helps in creating up the micro cutting and the micro gluing operations. So this churning was being done using a number of ways. So people started developing certain drill bit guided AFM, some CFG rooted AFM, and certain rotary tool AFM. So the idea was to just provide up the churning motion into the abrasive media. So there were a number of parameters that were being played up with in the recent times. For example, the net result was the improvement in the surface finish and the amount of the material removal that you want to remove. So there were 4 different categories of the one was media based, workpiece based, variant based, and the machine based parameters. Now, if I am working for any particular variant of the AFM, fine. With the same variant of the AFM, if I increase up my number, if I change up my abrasive concentration mesh type, or the similar, I can have up the different kinds of the micron or the nanoscale of these in that particular case. So first that we are going to discuss abrasive media development. Now this is from one of our article from the Journal of Processes. So what kind of the abrasive media you want to have for your particular process? It was generally the rubber based or natural polymer based. Now, whatever media you have developed over here, that media needs to be characterized before it goes for the final set of the experimentation. So there are different categories of the media characterization techniques that are using. What is the FTIR analysis, SEM analysis, TG analysis, what is the heat transfer coefficient, what is the amplitude sweep test, what is going to be the viscosity variation with the temperature, what is the flow test of that particular, what is the creep behavior of that abrasive.
उसमें सेकंड वाला जो ओपन
Yes, please.
अभी ये गूगल को ये ट्राई का कैनन क्लिक
Hello.
2-4 सेकंड हो जाए. Okay, now click.
So this is the surface finish that we before the AFM, and this is the surface finish that you could have. So what you can see over here is that the furrows marks that were being there, that were easily being flattened up using this particular process.
Download PDF.
Even if you are working it's Arun sir, I think so someone's audio is on. Bind blade over here. So that bind blade is being finished up using the AFM in this particular things. Now, when the abrasive media travels from the upper cylinder to the lower cylinder, what it is going to do is it is going to create up certain marks. Now, if you are doing up the finishing using the grinding, what you will see is that the furrows that have been created, that will be very sharp. So there will be certain plastic deformation of the material as it moves from this particular furrow. Fine. So that sideways movement of the material was being suppressed when you were working for the abrasive flow machining process. Now, our target was that taking these all things into consideration, how could we go for the abrasive flow of the 3D printed parts? Now, this is the schematic of what the work we did over here is. Now, the problem with the additive manufacturing is, no doubt, it can be used for the manufacturing of free-form surfaces and all, but there has been one of the inherent errors of the additive manufacturing, and that inherent error is called as a staircase effect. Fine. So if you are creating up an object which is cylindrical in shape, fine, the staircase effect will be less. But let us say that if you are going to fabricate up an object which is having up a dome shaped object, let us say this is the shape of the object that I have to create. Now, once you are creating it using additive manufacturing, you might know that it is the stacking of the layers one over the other. Now, once the layers stack one over the other, let us say this is my first layer that I am stacking. Fine. This is my second layer that I am stacking. Fine. This is the third layer that I am stacking. So over here, what you will see is that the actual object that you will be creating will be having up a movement of the layers in this particular manner. Now it resembles to that of a staircase towards this particular edges. Fine. So your desired surface was this dome shape, but once you are stacking up your layers one over the other, what you were having is you were having this kind of a staircase effect that is there. Now this staircase effect is an inherent error. You cannot eliminate it in additive manufacturing. Whatever process you use, however fine parameters you use, the only thing is you can try to reduce this particular staircase. So once to reduce this particular staircase, what you can do is you can reduce up the layer thickness. So you can see that the layer thickness over here is in this particular setup was 0.1 mm, 0.2 mm, 0.3 mm. So however fine you move, fine, you will be either moving to microns level. There will be certain problem with the specifications of that particular machines or limitations of that particular machines that you cannot go beyond a particular level. So a staircase effect is always there. Now to get rid of this staircase effect in additive manufacturing, we always go for certain post-processing operation. Now that post-processing operation can be that you can get up the desired surface finish by using an emery paper. That is a manual operation. You can get up the desired surface finish by using up certain grinders that may distort up your work material. So there were certain problems that were inherited in the additively manufactured abrasive flow post-processing operation. So we thought of, let us try to develop up a new process for it. Now we developed up a process called as an abrasive media using a sustainable. Now what we did is we first developed up our abrasive media. We characterized that particular abrasive media used up on in-house built setup and then characterized that particular thing using the different characterization methodology. Now this one paper we published successfully in Rapid Prototyping Journal. So the first and the foremost thing that came up into our mind was that we have to create up a self-deformable abrasive flow media. Now when it goes to the self-deformable abrasive flow media, as I discussed earlier also when we were discussing about the classification, that this particular rubber was being primarily used. Now the manufacturing of that rubber based abrasive media is itself polluting in nature. Fine. So it requires a certain setup, a hot air oven in which you can melt up your abrasive rubber. Then you have to embed it, then you have to mix it manually. So that was all a very tedious task. No doubt it gave you certain semi-solid mixture of the polymers and the abrasives over here. But whatever we are, this particular abrasive media, they have the that it undergo shear thinning when it is going to 200 cycles, 300 cycles, slowly and slowly, the abrasive holding tendency of that particular media gets decreased, and this particular media needs to be reused, cannot be reused again and again. So the problem with the conventional is that you require heating of the polymer, which requires furnaces. Also, it was a human intensive, a high temperature was not safe for the human labor. Besides that, the environmental issues were that the fumes were being released, and it was also a time consuming process. It will take around 6 to 7 hours to develop up the desired viscous abrasive media using the natural or the synthetic rubber. Also, the thing is, whatever debris that you are going to create during the process, those debris are going to come into the abrasive media. So let us say you have gone from for 300 cycles or 600 cycles, your media is not pure. Your media will be having certain kind of debris that have come from the workpiece. Fine. So you have to change up your abrasive media because it has certain blunt abrasives and also it has certain kind of a debris, which was again costly. So I cannot change my abrasive media after 300 or 600 cycles easily if I'm going to go for the production of. So taking all these things into consideration, the objective was, let us try to develop up a hydrogel based abrasive flow medium. A media which does not involve heating, a media in which it requires less time to prepare, and also it is a cost effective and it is safe not only for the human but also for the environment. So taking that thing, what we used is we used this as the media development. We used xanthan gum. Fine, it is biodegradable, biocompatible, having good kind of a strength. Now, to make sure that this particular xanthan gums cross-links nicely, we used a cross-linking agent which we called as locust bean gum. Fine, it was not having the desired kind of the viscosity that it can hold up the abrasive particles. What we used is we used fumed silica to give it the desired kind of the thickness, and then we went on to mixing the abrasive particles into that particular fabricated abrasive media. Now this was the media that you can see that was developed in-house. Now the abrasive particles were embedded, and through the SEM we characterized that particular thing, that it was a highly dense kind of a structure that we were able to produce, and this was the that we used for the abrasive medium. Now, before using it for the actual material removal, because if I have to get for the micron or a nano level of a surface finish, my abrasive media should temperature for a longer duration of the time, to make sure that we characterize this particular media, because only then we could attain up a micron or a nano level of a surface finish for the 3D printed object. We tried to characterize it using 5 different constituents, because what is the case, we use xanthan gum, locust bean gum, fumed silica, and water was being used to have up the desired of the constituents over here. Now, to determine the rheology, we go for the amplitude and the frequency sweep test, what we found is that as the shear rate increased, the viscosity decreased. So that was what we were expecting, and that was being characterized because of the shear thinning behavior of that particular abrasive media. Now, this shear thinning was on a higher end as compared to the conventional natural rubber media that we were developing. So that was not holding up the abrasive particles with temperature, but our media was showing up a better shear thinning behavior as compared to the other. So you can see over here, so this was the shear thinning behavior, this camel color. This is for the synthetic rubber. This was for our case, and this was another media that was being developed in the literature, that was a guar gum based abrasive media. Now, as compared to all this, the viscosity for R was higher. Now, because the viscosity in our case was higher, we took into consideration that this is the media that can have a better cross-linking. This is the media that can help in a better material removal processes. So, the rheological wise, this was the best media that has been developed in literature. That was the reason that we patented this particular media out. Now, what you could see from here is the developed media that we have done over here is that at 32 degree, it was having 99.87%. At 73 degrees centigrade, it was about 58 degrees centigrade of the water was there. Now, the temperature that is going to occur in the abrasive flow machining is of the order of 40 to 50 degrees centigrade, not more than that. So whatever is the loss of the water over here, that is beyond 73 degrees centigrade, which is far beyond the working temperature of that particular abrasive medium. So what you can see is that it has 99.87% of the so whatever decomposition we were having, so from 99 to 58%, about 42% weight loss that is occurring, that is generally occurring because water has been used over here for the mixing of these stuffs. So as you can see from this particular table, so water is there about 80%, 85%, 70%. So as you move from 50 to 60 to 70 degrees centigrade, this water particles get decomposed. So there occurs the loss in weight is because of the dehydration with the increase in the temperature that is occurring. Then we characterized it using an FTR analysis. We tried to see that which kind of a cross-linking is occurring. So whether my abrasive media is having up the desired viscosity, or there are. So over here, there were different peaks that were being there, and each peak corresponded to the that we were having. So whatever the constituents were there, all those constituents were being characterized using the FTIR, and each peak corresponded to the constituents that we have used for the abrasive media. So whatever alkanes, we found esters, we found fumed silica. So these all presence resulted in an elastic nature of the polymer based abrasive media. Now this elastic nature is one of the desired property from the abrasive media, because it gave it the desired deformable characteristics so that can get up the desired surface. So the advantageous features of this particular abrasive media is that it is stable. Now this abrasive media is stable for the operational temperature range for the AFM. The viscosity of the abrasive media was higher than that of the conventionally used media. So whether you are going to get up a desired finish of in titanium or relatively softer materials like the ABS or a PLA based material, this particular abrasive media can be used. So there was no use of the furnaces, there was no use of any manual labor. So it is safe for use in the as well as the environmental friendly. So there is no costly equipment that was being required. The rheological properties is similar to that of a conventional, rather better than that of this particular case. And this media then we use for getting up the finish in the additively manufactured part. Now, the next thing that we moved on is that we tried to develop up the parts on which we can characterize this particular process. Now, we not for the metallic over here, but for the plastics that are the most commonly used for the 3D printers, that is acetodiene, butastyrene, ABS, and polylactic acid, that is PLA. Now, these were the working temperatures that was being for the fabrication of the parts. So for the initial stages, what we did is we fabricated up the cylindrical specimens, both for the ABS and the PLA. Now, the idea of making up this particular comparative study is that ABS was relatively harder. Fine, it was having more rigidity, whereas PLA was relatively a softer material. Now, for the same kind of the abrasive media, if I'm going to change up my workpiece, that whether my media is going to give me the desired surface finish, whether the material removal is going to be same, or how we can improvise that particular thing. So one of the idea of getting up this particular 3D printed part. So the same kind of the schematic setup we used over here also. Now there are different parameters that we tried to optimize. For example, we went for 3 different parameters: the layer thickness, extrusion temperature, extrusion pressure, and the abrasive concentration. Now, the layer thickness that we moved was from 0.1 to 0.2 to 0.3. Now, for 0.3, there was more staircase effect. For 0.1, there was less staircase effect. So, if my workpiece that I am going to finish, it has a higher staircase effect at the initial level, the amount of the percentage improvement in the surface finish will also be on a side. The extrusion pressure, we varied from 60 to 100. Now, this helped in creating up a variation in the axial forces by which this particular abrasive particle moved from the upper cylinder to the lower cylinder. And there was an abrasive concentration. Now, we have not used over here any magnetic assistance, none of the ultrasonic assistance. It is simply pure abrasive particles that have been used. Fine. Now, if your abrasive particles are on a higher side, let us say from 40, I move to 50, I move to 60, if you are creating it with, it is not going to give you any particular benefit. So, all these parameters were being selected through the pilot experimentation, and an L9 orthogonal array was being made up. Now, through this particular thing, the material output that we took over here is, the process output that we took over here is the material removal. Material removal. Now, mind it, over here, we do not took over here material removal rate. Fine. It is the material that has been removed from the workpiece. That is initial weight of the sample minus final weight of the sample, and whatever is the difference over there, that difference has gone up into the abrasive media, because that has become a part of your meat that was moving from the upper cylinder to the lower cylinder. The other one was the percentage improvement in the surface finish. That was initial surface finish minus final upon initial into 100. Now, the idea that we do not measure over here the final surface finish, we do not report that way, is because it depends upon a number of parameters. For example, if my initial layer thickness is 0.3, I will be having more scope to remove the material. If my initial layer thickness is 0.1, the staircase effect would be less, and I will be having lesser scope for the material removal for the same kind of the abrasive media. So we want both. Material removal rate should be higher, or the material removal should be higher, and the percentage improvement should also be higher. So for the Taguchi, we went for a higher is the better kind of an approach, and these were the characterization for the different sets of the work materials, that is for the ABS as well as for the PL. So what you could see from here is that for as compared to the ABS, the average material removal was higher for the same set of experimentation for the PLA because it was relatively softer in nature. Fine. Now, however, there was a contradictory experience over here, and that contradiction came up onto the average surface roughness, which was higher in case of an ABS and lower for the similar set of parameters in case of the PLA. So what is happening in the process? So for all these set of the experimentation, you see that your material removal rate was higher in case of the PLA. Fine. For some parameters it is less, for some it is more. It was best for the condition of the 3. Now just look to the cross-sectional view of the surfaced finish over here. So what you see over here is for the layer thickness 0.1 mm, the consecutive layer thickness is of 100 microns, that is for 0.1 mm. Over here it is 201 microns, that was for 0.2 mm, and over here it was for 301 mm for the 0.3 mm layer thickness. Now as you moved from for the ABS, what you see is that whatever the furrows that were there, that were easily visible over here in this particular, that furrows have already gone away. Fine. For 0.2 it was less, for 0.3 they were still visible. So for 0.1 mm, for the desired, for the 0.1 mm kind of the layer thickness, a better surface finish has been achieved for the ABS as well as for the in this particular context. Now when you look towards the cross-sectional view, now see over here that this is the material that was being stacked over here. That material was being stacked in the form of domes. This kind of shapes were being there. Like this was first layer, second layer, third layer. So what we were having is we were stacking up this particular domes over the other. So from a reference line, fine. Now this particular stacking was 72 mm. Now as the material removal occurred, now what happened is this some portion of the domes was being withered away, was being eroded away with the abrasive particles. So we were able to reduce this particular height from 72 to 46 microns. For layer thickness 0.2 from 132 to 90 microns, and for 0.3 from 160 to 103 microns, you were able to reduce for the PLA finishing. So if we look towards this particular, in the input that were 3, that is the layer thickness, extrusion pressure, concentration, but the layer thickness, the material removal in the similar, Now, this particular increase in the layer thickness resulted in more surface irregularities. Similarly, when your extrusion pressure increased, there was more axial force, and when there was more axial force, the material removal was higher. So you see from here that for 100, axial force was more, and your material removal was also for the higher end. For the abrasive concentration, what they found is that as compared to 40 and 60, 50T abrasive concentration was giving you the desired kind of the material removal. Now, this is generally accounted for the fact that if we are going to embed more abrasive particles into the abrasive media, then what it is going to do is, instead of creating up the material removal across the bound of that particular abrasive, what it is going to do is it is going to create up more scratch marks. So there is no fun of increasing up the abrasive media concentration beyond 60, primarily when you are working for the relatively softer materials like ABS and PLA. Now, once we go for the in the literature, what we found is that people claim that 70% is better because more is the abrasive particle, more will be the material removal case. That may differ from the case to the case, and that may differ from the material that we are going to go for the surface finish. Now, the similar kinds of the trends have been achieved for the ABS as well as for the PLA kind of the material. Besides this, as your abrasive concentration increased from the 50 to 60%, what happens is the viscosity increase and the flowability of that particular abrasive media within that particular upper and the lower cylinder decreases. And when it decreases, it results in more collisions. It results in more collisions means more bluntness of the abrasive particle. More is the bluntness of the abrasive particle, then it primarily leads to decreasing up of the for that particular work material. Now, the other one is in the case of the extrusion uh, pressure. Over here, material. So, pressure also increases in the similar manner. Now, the layer stiffness of the it results in an easy sharing of the peaks present over the workpiece. Not
Varun sir, you are not audible.
Yes, am I audible? I have just switched on my some other system. Am I
Yes,
audible?
yes, yes, you
Yes,
are
sir.
audible.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
I don't know why it is happening. Just a sec. Let me share out my screen.
Sir, may I?
Yeah, I don't know where I was. Okay. Uh, I hope you would have heard up until this particular point. Uh, so what I was discussing over here is that for layer thickness of 0.1 mm, we were able to reduce the height from 72 microns to 46 microns. For zero point 0.2 layer thickness, this particular height was reduced from 132 to 90 microns. And for 0.3, this height was being reduced from 160 to 103 microns. So the effect of these particular input parameters on the material removal rate is, so what you could see from here is the similar kind of the trends have been achieved for the ABS as well as for the PLA work material. Now, in case of the ABS, what we found is that as the layer thickness increased, the material removal decreased. Now, this is generally because of the fact that for 0.1 mm, the stiffness of the additively manufactured part increased with the layer thickness. So as your layer thickness increase, the material becomes more rigid. Fine. Now, as the material becomes more, the material removal is decreased in the similar manner. Now, similarly, now whatever the irregularities that are present, so those irregularities that are present at a relatively lower layer thickness can be easily sheared off because that was having a lower stiffness. So that was the reason that for 0.1 mm, the material removal was on a higher side. Now, similarly was the case with the extrusion pressure, that as the extrusion pressure increased, the material removal increased gradually. Now, the study of these parameters was primarily important because we need to optimize these particular parameters if I have to say that I want to achieve a micron or a nano level kind of a surface finish. Fine. So you have to play with these only parameters, only then that micron or nano finishing can be achieved for the additively manufactured part in such, because these parts are relatively peculiar in their characteristics. Fine. It may be harder at the end, then because this is a plastic kind of a material, towards the bulk, it may have already a different kind of the surface properties. So the abrasive concentration that we were having from 40 to 60%, what you were saying is, you can see is that material removal was on a higher side, but it shooted up when you moved from the 50 to 60%. Now, the reason for that particular thing is, now the flowability for increase. Now, when the flowability of the abrasive media increase, it results in the higher degree of the bluntness. Fine, because the abrasive particles will start colliding against each other, and when they collide, the bluntness reduced and the material removal decreased in that particular similar manner. Now, the extrusion pressure was directly proportional to your axial force. So, if I am going to increase up my extrusion pressure, my axial force will increase up in the similar manner. Now, a similar kind of a trends have been achieved for the input parameters on percentage del RA. So what we found from this particular thing is that there was more scope of the material removal. However, there was not much improvement that was for the 0.3 mm of that particular layer thickness. Similarly, for the case of the extrusion pressure, now abrasive concentration that we were, it resulted in a better smooth surface for the ABS as well as the PLA. We did its analysis of variance and we found up that the extrusion pressure was the most significant parameter when you took into consideration ABS. For material removal and for RA, there were different parameters that were contributed. Fine. Now, this was the work that we contradicted with the initial findings. Fine. Now, there was one of a report or a work done in the recent, and they said that all the parameters are significant. Fine. Whether you work for ABS, whether you work for PLA, irrespective, your extrusion pressure is also significant, layer thickness is also significant, abrasive concentration is also significant, which is not the case for the additively manufactured part, at least. So the reason for that is that this is a plastic-based media, polymer-based media. Now we have changed the media itself. Now with the same media, because it was having up a higher viscosity, because of the same media, it was giving up a better shear thinning phenomena. Fine. Now the parameters also changed up their role. For example, over here, in case of material removal, it is just the extrusion pressure that was coming out to be significant. In case of the percentage improvement in del RA, it was all the three parameters that were coming out to be significant for the ABS. And similarly, for the PLA, for the particular case, for example, for PLA, it was just the extrusion pressure, and for the percentage del RA, all the three parameters were coming out to be significant. Now, these are some of the signal to noise ratios for this particular thing. Now, we optimized this particular thing, and what we found is that the lower layer thickness, 0.1, higher extrusion pressure, and a medium concentration of the abrasive, that is at level O, neither -1 nor +1. So that is going to give you the best material removal rate. And for the surface finish, it is 133 that is going to give you the better kind of the surface finish. Now, with this particular experimental study that was being done over here is, now AFM was found to be one of the most effective method for the 3D printed part. For the commercially available, the emery paper, some people dip their additively manufactured part in a wax and say that the coating has been done, the surface finish has been reduced, fine. So as compared to the traditional methods, this is the non-conventional methodology that can be easily used, because you cannot use ultrasonics over ultrasonic finishing. EDM you cannot go, you cannot do ECM over here because these are plastic kind of a processes. So AFM is the most promising technique in the near future, which can be used for the finishing of the 3D printed parts. The hydrogel media that we developed for this experimentation was an environmental friendly, was rather a sustainable media that we were having, and the RA and the ABS that we able to get up the desired kind of the surface finish. Now, the percentage improvement that we were having, for example, for relatively softer material, we were able to improve the surface finish by 52%. Fine. Whereas for ABS, we were able to improve the surface finish by 31% as compared to the initial. Now, if you give me a 0.1 layer thickness of the additively manufactured part, I may use over here a different set of the mesh size or the different kind of the abrasive media to finish that particular workpiece. Fine. So if you want to say that give me a micron level finish using AFM, I will optimize my process and I will give you. If you say that give me a nano kind of a finish, I will use a further fine abrasives for the same media and I will give you. So it is never so that you number of the input parameters that are there that is going to play up and determining the kind of the that you are going to get. Similarly, for the case of the now the problem is that whatever the variants have been developed using the AFM, fine. Now all those abrasive variants, what they are doing is, let us say that if this is your workpiece, fine. This is the abrasive particle that is coming. Now, how is the flow trajectory of this particular abrasive particle? The flow trajectory of the abrasive particle is this way. Fine. It moves from upper end to a lower end as the media moves from the upper piston to a lower piston. So, this abrasive particle was becoming inactive. What they did is they started churning it out. Now, when they churned it out, what kind of a media trajectory I was going to have is I was able to get up a trajectory which was spiral in shape because it was having up a rotational motion. Fine. So you were having certain rotational AFM. We were having AFM having a permanent magnet or an electromagnet kind of a stuff. So I could have up this kind of a trajectory. The other thing is that if you put over here the ultrasonic horn in this particular case, fine, the trajectory of this particular abrasive particle would have been like this. Fine. Now what is the case? It is traveling linear, but it is traveling along the boundary, so it will be having up a sinusoidal motion towards this particular end. So there will be a sinusoidal trajectory of that particular abrasive particle. Now, when we were developing ultrasonic, I was having trajectory sinusoidal motion of the abrasive particle. If I'm developing up a centrifugal assistance, I am going to have up a spiral trajectory. Now what we did is we tried to develop up a combination of it. We tried to hybridize this particular process and we categorize that particular thing called as an ultrasonic assisted magnetic AFM. So we got a patent of this particular process. So what we did over here is we tried to superimpose the ultrasonic vibrations with the magnetic assistance over here. Now what's the case over here is that if we are using over here the permanent magnets, I cannot change up the normal force. So if you see to this particular slide, let me just take you back to the schematic. Yes, over here. Could you see slide number 5? Yeah, could you see slide number 5? Hello? Hello? Okay. So the idea was to change up the trajectory of this particular abrasive particle. Now, when we used over here permanent magnet, I cannot change up the magnetic field intensity. If I am changing it, I am going to invest up into my. The other way was trying to develop up an electromagnet because I can change up the magnetic field intensity from 0.1 to 0.2 to to 0.3 Tesla. If you go for a higher end, you can go for 0.5 Tesla kind of a magnetic field intensity over that particular case. So what I wanted is, I wanted to have up a more normal force. Now for creating this normal force, I used over here a magnet. I want to have up a higher axial force. I can control it using extrusion pressure. I want to make these inactive abrasive and active abrasive particle. For that, what we did is we provide over here up a churning action. So we call it as a rotational ultrasonic assisted magnetic abrasive flow machining setup. So irrespective, now this particular setup was not being used for ABS or a PLA because there is no fun of providing magnetic assistance over there. Fine, because I could easily do it using a normal AFM. Now, when it comes to materials that are having stringent mechanical properties, for example, you talk about nickel, titanium-based alloys, ceramic, ceramic, which are categorized as the super alloys. So, in that particular case, the assistances are being better provided in that particular context. So, what we did is we tried to develop up this particular setup. Just a sec. Yeah, we tried to develop up this particular setup. So we used a programmable logic controller PLC, and SSR relay was being used so that an intermittent power supply can be used. Because the electromagnets you cannot use for 300 cycles continuously. You have to provide certain cooling down period. Now, one way of cooling down period is you can use up a water-cooled electromagnet, but that is going to create up a very larger cost in the equipment. So what we wanted is, we wanted to provide an intermittent operations. Like we have an intermittent cutting in milling, so that provides certain relaxation onto the tool. So we used an intermittent operation. So there were 4 magnetic poles, and those magnetic poles were being switched from one end to the other end. So when this is active, these are being stopped. So your abrasive particles start moving in a circular manner. So this is the schematic of that particular process, and we are in the process of finishing up certain titanium and the nickel based alloys using this kind of the setup. Now the micron and the surface finish that we were able to get over here is, we were able to get up the surface finish of the order of 25 microns with a suitable set of a parametric combination for the PLA, and for a relatively harder materials, though we have not optimized that particular process, we are able to get up a surface finish of the order of 55 microns for the titanium based work materials. The other development that we did over here is that the media that has been developed over here, now the rubber media that was being primarily used earlier, that was being thrown away or that was discarded into the atmosphere. Now the media that has been developed over here, you have to just put that particular media into water. Now once you put that media into water, give it 2 to 3 hours. Whatever polymer is there, that polymer will come up onto the surface, and whatever are the used abrasive or the debris, that will be settled down onto your glassware. So you can easily go for the what you call the removal of the debris from the abrasive media once you have gone for the. So all the disadvantages of they were easily eradicated using this particular set of the like. For more details, I would request you to kindly go through our publications in Journal of Manufacturing Processes, and the Rapid Prototyping Journal. So you will get up more discussions over there. Now I could have up a 15 minutes discussion with you if you write any kind of the so these are the references. That's all from my side. Yeah, any query or any discussion you want to have, we could have a 15-minute session for that. Yes, the organizing.
Hello. 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 Sir, could you hear me? Hello. Do you have any questions? Thank you so much, sir, Varun sir, for sharing. Hello. 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 Could you hear me?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Your voice is coming. Yes, sir.
Yeah. Thank you so much, sir.
Yes, sir.
And sharing your views and thoughts. Do you have any question? Do you have any questions? Hello. Do you have any questions, sir?
No, sir. No.
Okay. From the participant side, do you have any questions?
No question for Epika, my side.
Okay, sir. Okay. Varun sir, email ID and phone number is available with us. If you want to contact him personally, or you feel free to contact him, and you can just take the contacts from us too. Thank you so much, Varun sir, for joining us. Thank you for the informative session that you have given.
हेलो.
हेलो. हाँ पटेल जी.
हाँ सर, वो अभी जितने भी हमारे प्रेजेंटेशन हुए 2 दिन के, उसके पीपीटी मिल सकते हैं हमको?
PPTs.
We will share the recording.
Yeah, recording we are sharing. So PPTs, I think it will be difficult because most of them are sharing their research work of their students and their work also. So
Okay.
I think PPTs is very difficult to get.
We will share.
Okay, no problem.
The videos will be shared, sir. Videos you can
Okay.
just.
Okay, sir. Okay, thank you.
Next lecture.